In 2016, dropped objects resulted in 255 worker fatalities and almost 50,000 non-fatal injuries. The issue is one of OOSHA's fatal 4 causes of construction deaths. A job hazard assessment should be conducted prior to starting work. Identifying potential hazards is the first step in reliably controlling these hazards. This does not necessarily need to be in writing, but a written assessment also provides an opportunity to document hazard training to crews. Understanding the sequence of work is important, predicting when falling objects struck by hazards may be encountered. A controlling contractor such as a GC has ultimate responsibility to ensure incompatible or congested work is prevented and monitor that safe practices are being employed. However, individual contractors have primary responsibility for safe execution of their work. Each plays a role to detect and prevent hazards at the job site. OOSHA Standard 1926-20B requires the employer is responsible to initiate and maintain accident prevention programs. OOSHA addresses falling object protection with the following safeguards. 1926-501C requires, when an employee is exposed to falling objects, the employer shall have each employee wear a hard hat and shall implement one of the following additional measures. The first option is 501C1 is to erect toe boards, screens, or guardrail systems to prevent objects from falling from higher levels. When guardrail systems are used to prevent materials from falling, any openings must be small enough to prevent passage of falling objects. During roofing work, materials and equipment must not be stored within 6 feet of roof edge unless guardrail systems are erected at the edge. Any materials stored near a roof edge must be stable and self-supporting. The second option is described in 1926-501C2. Erect a canopy structure and keep potential fall objects far enough away from the edge of the higher level so that these objects would not go over the edge if they were accidentally displaced. 502J8 requires that when used as protection from falling objects, canopies must be strong enough to prevent collapse and to prevent penetration by any objects that may fall onto them. When potential falling objects are relatively light and fall distance relatively short, a simple tarp and frame canopy structure may meet the strength requirement. Scaffold-type pipe frame and metal decking systems are engineered with load ratings and often used as catch platforms and canopies. The potential weight and fall distance of dropped objects must be considered when selecting canopy protection equipment. The Demolition Standard 1926-850K offers a description of the minimum dimensions and strength capacity of canopies or sidewalk sheds required to protect building entrances during demolition work. The third option is described in 1926-501C3. Barricade the area to which objects could fall, prohibit employees from entering the area, and keep objects that may fall far enough away from the edge of a higher level not to go over the edge if they are accidentally displaced. Hazardous construction areas or activities should be clearly identified and protected by the performing contractor. Red danger tape should be used where access is restricted. Caution tape is generally taken to mean enter with caution. Train workers to understand how barricade tapes are used at your site. Support the use of perimeter barricades with hazard warning signs as necessary to warn people of the hazards and to keep out of these areas. With each of these safeguards, consider also that dropped objects don't just fall straight down and can deflect off of other objects struck on the way down. Account for this with your barricade setback distances and consider if side shielding on canopies may be necessary. Other practices. Isolate dangerous work to singular times and areas. Schedule types of work together that can safely overlap and avoid dangerous congestion. Tool restraint and tool rest. Keep loose items tethered on aerial job sites. Tool restraint is accomplished using transport buckets with closure systems, tool holsters, and tool pouches that are secure. Secure materials to prevent being displaced by wind and bad weather. Post a ground watch. Signs and barricades alone aren't always practical or effective. During especially hazardous operations, posting a watch person at ground level can be especially effective. Stop work authority. Ultimately, if work cannot be done safely, it is the performing contractor that must be ready to stop work until changes at the site allow work to proceed safely. The competent person must have authority to do this when needed. Many successful companies empower all employees with stop work authority as best practice. 1926-252A and B. Disposal of materials includes rules on dropping materials in and out of buildings and the use of debris chutes and barricades. 451H addresses falling object protection when using scaffolds, including hard hats, toe boards, screens, guardrails, etc. Requiring all workers to become familiar with job site safety rules. Employee training should involve at a minimum how to recognize falling object hazards on site and how to eliminate or minimize them. The employer must provide frequent regular inspections for unsafe conditions and activities. Document your inspections and corrections made. Once you've identified the hazard and corrected it, you're not really done until you investigate to understand why it happened and take steps to ensure it does not happen again.